Greetings,
All
everyone.
right.
This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Up Podcast. Today, I have a back-to-back with one of my very best new friends, amazing friend, Susanne Hovis, fellow wonderful Libran. I'm an
Yes.
Octobrian, she's Septemberian. Is that even a word, Septemberian? Let's say it
Who
is. Let's say it is, you know?
It is.
I know
We
Octobrian
deem it.
is, but anyways, so we had a beautiful conversation yesterday
Mhm.
about our background and part two. For part one, we talked about something she's really passionate, which is car racing, the world of racing, especially drag racing. And wow, what an episode! And yesterday, we talked for almost 2.5 hours. The first hour off the recording, we talked about Formula One and racing, and we're just like two kids just geeking out, Absolutely
Right.
love that. So now she's back today to talk about for part three of our wonderful ongoing conversation to talk about her business and her impact and her gifts that she's blessing the world with. So, Susanne, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Glad to be here.
Pleasure's all mine. It's an honor. So, how are you doing today, or rather tonight, for you?
Fabulous. Or
Only
as I would
fabulous.
say, fantabulous.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
There
Awesome.
we go. Right.
Awesome. Awesome. Give us one more time
Yeah.
for people who don't know you. A brief intro about you over and beyond what I just said. Who's Susanne as a person, as a human being, and as a woman?
I will do so, Lorenzo. I'm just going to make a note. Try not to lean forward because you start to freeze and
Oh,
I couldn't hear what you were saying, but I know
all right. Let me just quickly change that.
everyone. My name is Susanne Hovis. I am a children's book author and illustrator. I'm an energy worker, practitioner, and teacher. I am a nature lover. Yes, I am extremely passionate about fast cars in general, racing. Yeah, yeah. So that has always been, and at my heart. But another thing that's always been at my heart was the writing. And from a little girl, I was writing poems, which turned into writing even more, and writing for corporate even. But that didn't always make me happy per se. So now I am enjoying penning amazing adventures in a children's book series that I'm about to launch.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm excited.
Mhm.
We're gonna talk about all of that. As a fellow author, I know how difficult that is, but how much of a milestone it is once it's completed and the achievement you feel. So we're gonna talk about that. So first of all, tell us more about your business and what's your impact in the world.
Well, that is my business. My business is, I want to say joy. My business is writing into these adventures the way, teaching the way I drop into joy, cultivating it and creating a practice in your life to where you can always tap into that. Because you're going to go through your life. There, of course, there's sad, there's happy. We are human beings with this experience of emotions, right? But emotions are what create our world, right? So if we ever find ourselves in sad, in angry, or things like that, it's always important to remember how to get back to that joy. So if you practice it, you will be able to drop right in and bring yourself back, right, to what I'm deeming I deem as essential. It's an essential nutrient, if you would, in my energy and composure and being. And it's the way I can be present for others and be that good ripple in the world, right? We want to create great ripples, good ripples, heart-centered ripples. I'm very heart-centered. So it has to come from the heart. It has to come from love, unconditional love of self, unconditional love of others. Okay. And that. So there's that. that is my business. And even in when I practition and teach energy work, same thing. I do tend to lean more towards teacher, right? When it comes to the energy work, I will work with people on my table, and perform energy sessions with them, but it's always interactive. It's part, they have to realize that they're a part of it, and I always give them homework to do, but it's joyful homework. It's homework designed to bring them back to that center, that joy center.
Beautiful. Love that. Absolutely love
Hmm.
that. You're speaking my language
Yeah,
because you mentioned that for me, one of the first thing I teach all my students in my academy, and even when I talk to people, is never speak from a script. Don't even speak from here. Speak from here. That's where the magic
yep.
happens. That's when people can really
Hmm.
open up to you, build that trust, that rapport. And really that's where the magic happens, because once you have that connection, there's no need to pitch, to sell, or as I like to say in a funny, cheesy way, to seduce or kidnap someone to do business with them. It's a natural, automatic, organic progression. I call it doing business the universal way, the God's way. No, business doesn't have to be a zero-sum game for me to win. You have to lose, or no, it's not that. I
No,
win, you win, he wins, she wins. We all win together. That's how
that's right.
I like to do business. How the universe does business. How it's the spiritual, the God way of doing business, the heart-centered way. And you're speaking my language. So preach, sister, preach, preach, preach. It's beautiful. I'm excited. So you said you want your joy is very important in your life. Is that something that's
Hmm.
always been the case, or something that you discovered later on in your life?
You know, I have this very real experience. I tend to imprint visually. So when I remember this one imprint that I had as a little child, looking up at family members. I'm thinking it's mom, dad, and I'm thinking there is another person there, possibly one of my siblings. And I remember feeling like children do. I mentioned in, you asked me what makes me happy, and that in part one, and I believe I did even in there say children, and I didn't really elaborate on why children make me happy. And one of the reasons is because boy, you just said about us being like a couple of kids. That's what life's about. And you are the closest to unconditional love, self-love, powerful when you're tiny. Okay, when you're first born. You do know that children are born a genius. That's why they learn so quickly, and so, but they're also extremely dependent, and that dependence has to do with trust, which is what you just brought up when it comes to heart-centered, right? So what, not just watching children, but being in the presence of children, you feel that. You can't help but feel that if you're paying attention, right? So if you pay attention to children and see them interacting, on their own, you just see that. You see that joy, you see that love, and it's just so precious. So, how did I get off onto that? What did you ask me? What did you ask me? Bring me
What
back.
a big part of
Oh,
what
my
you said
first
is
experience.
about joy?
That's
Is it
right.
something that you
So here
always
it was.
been, or is it something you discovered later on in life?
So I had it, right? And here's this little person having it and being so full of joy and looking up and I could feel darkness. I could
Mm.
feel that they weren't happy. And I remember going, wow, why are you so unhappy? And I wanted to make them happy, but well, I shouldn't say but. So I could feel my joy. So I remember that. I just, for some reason, I remember how joyful and great I felt, and I remember saying, gee, it's so sad that they're so unhappy. So that's what I cultivated, right? So as I went through life, then, as you're growing up, you start encountering things like that, unhappiness in the people you're around, who are around you all the time. Um, and then you go out into the world and start experiencing some of that unhappiness, right, in other people. So it was important that I remembered that first feeling happy or feeling joyful, whatever you want to call it, in love, and being able to say, whoo, and getting back in. And it's interesting because I would be able to drop back into that and say, okay, what do I need? I need that self-love and that's joy, right? So I said, what do I need to bring the joy back? And I would go out into nature. We had a field around where I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. There were fields. You could, close by my home for a young one, I could go find trees, streams, things like that. And for me, it was uncovering rocks, snakes, bugs, a bird. I had a red-winged blackbird. I'd go and I called to the red-winged blackbird. It called back at me. And so I would go every day at the same time and the same thing. We'd have an exchange.
Wow.
This to me brought me so much joy. And so that's part of what I'm sharing in these stories, in the Joy Story series. So that's me.
Beautiful. Love that. So how did you get
Mhm.
into writing?
Well, so I was, I want to say I was probably about 10.
Oh, wow.
And I would wake up in the middle of the night with prose in my head. Okay. And my sister, we shared a room. So my sister, she was a light sleeper. You weren't allowed to turn the light on. You weren't allowed, weren't allowed. She would freak out if I, if I made noise or if I opened the door or anything like that. So I always had a pen and pencil or whatever in a pad next to my bed. Then I would wake up with it and I would just write it out in the dark, right? And the next morning I would go ahead and I'd get it typed up and put into, a sheet.
How are you able
And
to
then,
write in a coherent way in the dark?
I know, right? So I learned, I learned how to
That's
write
a
it.
skill.
You know what I mean? It is a skill. And so, it's like, okay, I think the next line's here and here, but you just have to write it out. I don't know if you've had those creative experiences where you have to capture, we talked about that, right? Capturing that inspiration when it comes in.
Like a
Otherwise
download.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's gone, right? So it's like, boom, I take it. So I created a book from that. I illustrated it, okay, put it all together and presented it to my mom. Mom was very busy trying to make dinner. She was like, just put it down. I'll get to it later, I went back a couple days later because she never said anything. And mom kind of was like, oh, I don't understand that stuff, So I never really got the confirmation that, oh, I did a great job, but it didn't matter. I still love to write. And one of the things I love doing is editing and proofing and editing as well. When I got into corporate land, I was doing that all the time. I did create my own as a teacher at my church. I did create my own. I had a newsletter for the young adults. Well, it was the young adults, it's like 7th, 8th graders. Had a newsletter for them, and things like that. So I've always been writing, just not. I hadn't had the inspiration to write a book, even though my mother was telling me all the time to write my book, write my story, because I was always getting into all these adventures and getting out of these adventures and going on to a next one, and she was fascinated. So someday I will fascinate everyone with all my fascinating travels and adventures that I explored in this life of mine. But in the meantime, what happened was I moved back to Illinois when my dad had passed a year later. My mom was kind of fading. I asked her if she needed any help and she said yes. And I was taken aback because I realized at the time that she would have never asked. And, she was, she didn't want to, bother me. But since I asked, and so it was a snap decision. I said, I'm back. I'll come. I'm the oldest of 6. There are other children, but I felt it was my duty as the oldest child,
God bless you.
Anyway, and that's kind of the way we were raised. So I went back, and while I was there, I said, I'm going to go back to school I wanted to get my nature photography. I wanted to learn Photoshop, digital, to enhance it and all that. put it in the books or whatever. I didn't know what to do with it. But anyway, I wanted to do that and learn that. So I went back to school for graphic art design. It ended up going into web design. So I did learn the basics about the background to web design, which means all the programming and all that. But what I found myself in was an illustration class in that certification course. And in that, we had to create a children's book step by step. I created how to capture an asteroid. I illustrated it. It was well received by all, and I was amazed, but I was also very proud of it, though. It's beautiful, beautiful art. And that sparked my, reignited my love of writing and said, this is what I want to do. So
Beautiful.
I am now in the middle of the Joy Story series.
And you said your book is going to be launched on Valentine's Day?
Yep, February 14th. That's the Kickstarter launch.
Oh,
The books
wow.
will, yeah, that's the Kickstarter launch. And then my books will be available, published and available around Easter, which is a end of April, May. Yeah. Look at
Wow.
that timeline. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How is your Kickstarter going? Have you started it? Building
Mm-hmm.
the momentum for it, the audience and all that?
I've been working with a VA to get the creation of you have to create the site, right? Are you
Yes.
familiar?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so, right, I don't know if you call it the site or the page on
The
Kickstarter,
page, the
but
listing, whatever. Yeah, the story.
right, okay. So that is created, it's not live. Obviously, it doesn't go live until February 14th. So we are still creating that. We still have a production to do, and the weather's not cooperating here very well. So, and because we wanted to do my video, produce my video in nature, where
Ah,
I'm in the middle of where banana slugs live, which is the Pacific Northwest. And this is the main character. This is her. So a
ah,
banana slug. Yeah. So we would love to have it in nature. We may not be able to do it since it's the timing, right? But we'll do our best. So that's the reason for the Kickstarter launch. We've got the page. It's beautiful. This is my first time. I have got about 700 people on Facebook. I'm a member of a 600 women group. I'm in the Women in Publishing group. So I have a lot of groups. I have a lot of people to, be inviting to the Kickstarter, to support us in the Kickstarter. Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
one idea that came to mind, we are just talking about, my background was e-commerce and
Mm,
podcasting. Now putting the two together, once you will be
mhm.
taking my 5-day challenge next week and then helping you launch your
Yep.
podcast, you could easily, you said you have all this connection, all these ladies, all these groups. Just
Mhm.
invite those people on your podcast. That's going to allow you
Oh
to
yeah.
tap into their
Oh,
network.
you're right.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Do I need? Okay, wait a minute. Don't I need like a studio?
To interview the people? Absolutely not. Just like me and you on a Zoom, that's all you need. And a
Just
microphone.
do this? Okay,
Yeah.
I can do
I'm a big
that.
fan of the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. All right, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about that
Wow.
next week and beyond, because
Yeah, that's great.
that's
That's great.
exactly it. I'm
It
excited.
is.
Anytime you want to come back on my podcast to help you
Hmm.
promote the Kickstarter, let me know. My
Okay,
door is open for you.
thank
And
you.
super excited. And once it's live, send me the link. I'll do my best to not only support you, but also share it with people I know and
Awesome.
and I will connect to that gentleman from Australia, Damon McDonald. He
Yes.
launched his own. Did I already connect you to him or not yet?
You sent me the podcast, I think, that you guys
Oh, okay.
did, right?
I'll do it in
Is
short
that
right
what you
after this
did? Was
call.
that him?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
he did a launch, and I believe I just saw on his Facebook just recently he went to a massive event and he met Sir Richard Branson.
Oh, no way.
Yes,
Oh, I'd
yes,
love
yes.
to meet Branson. Oh my gosh. Him going out into space and everything. Yeah, I can. Oh,
you gotta
man.
book a ticket to to his island for that, you
To
know?
the Virgin Island. Yeah, no
Okay.
kidding.
And but I'll connect you to him first. That's the first step, and then he's gonna tell you more after
Okay.
that because
All
that was
right.
commitment.
I'll
So
take it from
yes,
there.
absolutely. Put it out
Okay.
there for Universal. Universal is gonna show you
All
the
right.
you know. So
Let's do this.
I'm excited for you.
Me
Um,
too.
so why Kickstarter?
Great question.
Yeah.
I kind of landed in that. It's interesting because um, gosh, when did crowdfunding start? Not too, couple 5 years ago
I
or
mean,
10
what
years ago? How long
Kickstarter
has it
about
been
10
now?
years ago.
I'm just talking about crowdfunding in general, right? I
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
being in Silicon Valley around the time when crowdfunding started. And there was a time when you could just throw out a crowdfunding and say, hey, support my project
Yeah. Yeah.
and make all kinds of money, so I guess in a way I did have that kind of a little bit of naivety, that a naivete, I guess I could say, about, oh, this, let's put it out there, let's see, but you really don't want to do that. One of the things I've learned along the way, so I belong to another group that where the husband, okay, so they just did a Kickstarter for his book, the husband's book. So I got to get some tips and tricks from him and things like that. I have a physical therapist who just launched with his wife a Kickstarter campaign for their children's book series, and fabulous. And he's been so helpful in actually just inspiring me and getting me going on it, and saying, yes, this is a good thing for me to do. And the other thing is that I view it as a good way to get a larger audience involved.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I want to do that, and I want to be able to offer people. That's one of the things that you will see on my page once it does launch. You will see that I say, hey, if you're not able to, you know, um, to go ahead and pledge for this, even just reposting, the the campaign, if you like it, if you like the book, if you like the reason for the book, you'll see in the launch page that I where I talk about what the character teaches through these adventures that you go on with the banana slug. So some of it is science, some of it science based, but then also children's book joy and heart-centered, heart-based development. Okay, through all the characters she meets
Hmm. I am just going to
along her
connect you.
adventures. So, um, go ahead.
I'm just going to connect you right now with probably my favorite podcast on crowdfunding, Kickstarter. I'll send you the link.
Mhm.
Listen to this guy. This guy is really the best out there. He's going to give you a lot of ideas.
Okay.
I'm just going to send it to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Great.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm going to be, following your journey with a lot of interest. Not only as my friend, because again, Kickstarter is something that
Mhm.
e-commerce is one of my passions. So, yeah, anything I can do to help you shine and make you win, I'm here for you. I just sent you the link to his podcast. It's called Crowdfunding Demystified.
Mhm.
Just give it a listen, subscribe to it. This guy has a ton of amazing golden nuggets in his podcast. Just look for similar projects than yours for books, and you will
Okay.
learn a lot.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Very welcome. Very welcome. So the Kickstarter, what is your goal for the Kickstarter? Do you have an amount that you have in mind already that you want to raise?
We came, in the research that we did, looking at other similar projects, and that it seems a good, we were looking at about $8,000, and that is about the mid-range. The
8,000?
range goes anywhere. Yeah, the
Okay,
range goes from 5,000 to 10,000. So it's kind of right in the middle, and we thought, well, okay, we can do this,
easy.
um, with with the connections we have. So we feel that's very doable. And yeah,
Oh,
but it does. Mhm.
Have you already started building your community for the
What were you
launch?
gonna say?
Have you already started building your community for the launch, like a Facebook group or
Yes.
community?
So, okay, not a Facebook group. I haven't thought of that. So again, my biggest thing right now is time for me.
Mm,
Now, if that's something I can give to, you just made me think of something. That's something that my VA, if you look at my Instagram, which is
mhm,
Susanne Hovis author,
okay.
okay, or you look at my Facebook, right now she's posting for that launch. So she's been posting all along, little tidbits. In the first book of the series, which will launch, which is what we're doing the launch for. Well, not just the first book; it's for the series. But that first book, a banana slug gets her name, so she gets her name in it. So we're not. It's always little teasers, right? It's like, do you know who this is? And this little creature's, really excited to meet you, but never with her name, right? Because the book is where she does get her name. So it's kind of what the book's about, right? But then there's a second, third, and fourth books that are already written. Okay, it's just I got to get this one processed and out there so I can get things published. And when I say processed, that means published in hardcover, paperback, and all the accessories, if you will. Um, and available, because that's part of the gifts that at different pledge levels, that's part of the gifts as well. Mhm.
Beautiful. So you're saying so far your audience is that you've been nurturing and building has been mostly on Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is where that's where those two of the women groups are, right? Women in publishing, that group. Our next summit is in March. And so that'll be great for the book launch, because the book
Mhm.
will be at the end of March, no, end of April. When is Easter this year? I think it's
Sometime around that time,
is
yeah.
I don't know, somewhere around there. But anyway, so March is the Women in Publishing Summit. So that will be good, because I've got that group. I've also got my women's group that is nationwide, okay, and they reach outside as well. I also have, of course, Mary Gooden and the publisher, the authors, I should say, right? The author, the book, because I've also have a book through the Mary Gooden, is Shine Your Soul Light, right? So I'm a part of that group. That's where I met you, Payman. So happy I did. So there's that. And I do have another group. They're based out of Colorado. They're really excited about it. So I have that. Never thought about creating a Facebook group for this, okay, which is a great idea. And I can have my VA create that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell her, let's create a Facebook group that maybe, and as we are sending out these teasers, and these launch Instagrams and Facebook posts for people to go ahead and join.
Absolutely. That's the first thing I would recommend is build a Facebook group even tonight and just send an invitation. Just
Mhm.
put like a banner. You can either create yourself or have your VA create it fast on Canva and
Mhm.
then post
Yeah, that's
content.
what she
Post
does.
content. The first content is just take your phone, a quick video or your Zoom and introduce yourself. Welcome people. Hey guys, welcome to my to my group. You know me. I'm honored to be launching a crowdfunding in about a month from now. This is what it's for. This is just tell them about the project in a nutshell. Keep it under 2-3 minutes, and then use that as a sticky on your group, and just send that a link to that video to people, inviting them directly. Because when you invite people with just with an actual video invitation, it's so much more powerful to just copy paste the message. So do that.
I
Yes, it's
agree with you.
a bit more time consuming, but hey,
It is.
you want results. And
I
honestly,
do.
your goal is $8,000. With just
Mhm.
your contacts and connections, you should be able to reach that within the first day, if not the first few hours. That's very easy. For,
Wow, that's
for
great.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I've been part of campaigns where people have, no, I've known people that have raised high six figures in the first 24 hours. But there was for watches. When I was living in China and Hong Kong, I was very active in that crowd. Quite a few of my friends actually did very successful campaigns.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've seen it. It's very possible. The most important thing is two things. One, the story that you have, and number two, your product. If you have those two, and of course
Yeah.
the audience, the engagement, then it's a slam dunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, the product, I was very careful to make sure I've got a, I ended up landing a really great, um, she helped me edit my first children's book, the one or this book, and then I found out afterwards that she is actually the editor for the Hunger Games.
Wow.
She edited the Hunger Games.
Beautiful. Hey, you
Book.
can
Yeah, so
put
obviously
that
now kind of
put
gone
that
over.
put that in your
I know,
marketing.
right?
Put that to your marketing. And
You're right. And then so then, and I found out about that after. I knew she was brilliant, but I I didn't realize, what she had done. So then, for an illustrator, this was challenge for me because I wanted to do it myself. I knew I could, but I knew how much time it would take me. People think that digital art is easy because it's digital. No, it's not. It's just as time consuming as painting and anything else. So, and it takes creative space. It takes time. So I went out and looked for a top-notch illustrator. As I was looking, I found one that had amazing bugs, and because this little one is a bug herself, I was like, I knew I wanted her, and I got so fortunate because she's a well-known children's book illustrator. I was so fortunate that she said yes. So I made sure I got the best. So
this is
it's the
one
product
way
is
of the
going to be exceptional.
this is one absolutely this is one other way from the universe to really set the path for you to be very
Yeah,
successful with this, you know.
absolutely.
Nothing
I
happens
can see the
randomly.
yellow. I
Everything
can
happens
see
for a
the
reason.
yellow.
Yeah.
I see it and it's joy. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yep,
beautiful. I'm excited for you.
agreed. Yeah.
Can't wait to see your keep me posted, please, on your campaign. I will do what I
Hmm.
can to help you, whether it's to connect you with
Hmm.
people or bring you anytime you want on my podcast or anywhere. You know, I'm here to make you win and to make you shine brighter as you're shining. So because
Ditto, my friend. So thank you.
you've been blessed with so many gifts. You're a gift yourself. It's all about joy. That's something that I'm very passionate. So it's natural for me to help you. Plus, we're good friends. We're you know, Librans, and we both love car racing. So what more can we
Right?
ask for, you know? And we might be in the no, I'm not gonna say it
Not
yet.
much more.
I'm not gonna say it yet. I'm gonna jinx it, but
Uh-oh.
we might be in the same city in the next few
Okay.
months, you know, but that's good.
Yes.
That's another story. Let's not
Yes.
get
Can't wait.
to carry on.
Woo!
But yeah,
Can't wait.
wow, that's amazing.
Very
That's
good.
amazing.
Hmm.
Wow. Let me check something here quickly.
Yeah.
One sec. Let me quickly pause this. Wow, that's beautiful, Suzanne. That's amazing. You also mentioned that you also do
Hmm.
energy healing. Tell us more about that.
Energy healing. So, yes, I do that. I do it in person. I have, a table. Looks very much like a massage table, but I'm not a massage therapist. However, I am more than willing to tap into those energies of yours and massage whatever areas are in need of it, if you will. And the way I work is it's my team, I'm really just kind of a conduit. That's how I view the work, because it's pretty incredible, and I consider it an honor. Anybody who I'm not sitting there, working on you. As energy workers, we kind of have to shut that off. Okay, we have to be open to be able to do the work, but you have to learn how to do that without, you need to be able to shut that work. I can't, it's definitely I do distance sessions as well with people. And it's an incredible healing tool. If anything, if anybody finds it hard to take the time for themselves to try and get and do meditation, things like that, people can find that hard to do. If you book an energy session, I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you to give yourself an hour beforehand to start to shut down and get yourself prepared and ready and get in the space. And there you are, giving yourself an hour. And I'm the one who's just tapping in. The way I describe it is I'm tapping in with their team. My team's talking to their team and guiding me in my hands, and do the energy work. So maybe that's a little bit too much information, or maybe that makes you curious. It's all an amazing. If you go to my site, you'll see a couple of what do you call that when people talk, say they enjoy the work. I can't think of it right. I can't think of the word. Testimonials. Thank you. There's a couple of testimonials there. And both of those testimonials, one is from a Reiki master who I did a session with. So she knows. And she explains that the way the energy work, she's never had Chios. I've been trained in what's called Chios, CHIOS. I've been trained in the Chios method, and it's different. It's similar to Reiki, but different. Very powerful, but not blast you out powerful kind of a thing and woo woo. Okay. It's just a very gentle, what I would call very heart-based, centered, gentle, loving embrace, if you will, of your energy, and healing the parts that need it is what
Beautiful.
I'll say.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who would you say is your ideal client avatar for that, for your energy healing?
Ideal client. Okay. I can give you a few. I've had a few examples. So I've had people who are in a great space, but think they're not. And I confirm, through tapping in, I confirm where the confusion is, and clear that for them. And then also let them know how close they are to being back in joy and feeling more like themselves. And then I've had also people who have had experienced trauma and have been carrying it around for a long time. Okay. That type of energy is sitting within those systems and has been for many years. It can take a couple of sessions, but I will tell you, this is very powerful work. And sometimes it's an initial big release and then a couple of follow-up sessions where it gets straightened out, if you will, and back to that joy center.
Speaking of that perfect segue, share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
Oh my gosh. So I wasn't aware of her childhood trauma. She was, but I wasn't. So during our energy session, at one point, and this was in person, not that really mattered, but it was in person. And when I was stopped at the area where I felt the most, I'll call it resistance. It's kind of like the way I do it, I'm holding hands over, and it's almost like a prayer. It's almost, you're just holding the love over that area.
Wow.
And she began to shake. Her body began to shake. And I went ahead and cleared it out, and she went into tears. Okay. And then I just allowed her and her body to receive the love, right? And because it's very difficult to receive love if you don't love yourself, it's very difficult to, right? You have to love yourself otherwise. So receiving love is what's being resisted, right? But when that love is being shared so energetically, I mean, I'm being, this is where the honor, like I say, I call it an honor because I'm, I understand that some of these things are, I'm entering that energy field and you are asking me to, okay? This isn't touching a body, this is touching you, you know, your energy. So, and once she was felt like she was done, big sigh, and she sat up and just hugged me and then shared her entire story, which I did not know. Yeah, big release, big healing, and we did a couple of sessions afterwards, and from then on, she's been her wonderful, amazing, joyful. She is one of the most joyful, heart-based, amazing people I've ever known, and that's why I was shocked to find out what I did know.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I was
Wow.
so honored and grateful that she gave me the opportunity to help her through that process. That. Mhm.
You know, you mentioned self-love, and that's something I've been learning myself the hard way because I grew up in an environment where it was all about putting my needs last and helping and doing things for others. And there's so much you can do of that until you become completely empty. You have nothing to give, literally. And I was in a position that I was just burned out. And
Mhm.
everybody was telling me, hey, you need to love yourself first. You know, the most important person in our lives is ourselves. And that's not being selfish. That's being altruistic because you need to be the very best version of you so you can bless others. You can be of value to others. If you're not, you will be a liability. You won't be able to help not even yourself, so let alone others. So yes, the soonest you understand that and apply that, because for others to love you, to respect you, to treat you the way you want to be treated, starts from within. You have to do it. You have to project. If you don't, then nobody's going to respect you, treat you well, or do what you treat you the way you want to be treated. So that was one of the most powerful and painful lessons I learned myself. And boy, what a transformation. Life has never been the same ever since. Yeah,
Good
it's
for
everything.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
It wasn't
Mhm.
easy because again,
No,
I had to
never is.
erase all this conditioning from childhood, and then
Mhm.
relearn a new programming, program my mind. But my only regret is not having done it earlier. But you do it
I
when
know.
it's your time.
Yep.
Everything happens for a reason at the right time. So wow, that's beautiful. That's amazing. How are you getting your clients so far for your energy healing sessions?
Right now it'd be through my website, SusanneHovis.com. There is a page within my site, you know, or where you can go ahead and set up we can do a one-on-one for free. We can chat, talk about, you know, if you're curious about energy work and want to know more. If you do decide to sign up for one of the energy sessions I offer, then there is a form to fill out, and you go ahead and book it, and we'll connect.
I'm just looking at your
Speaking of
website.
that, yeah, speaking of that, I have to, you know how the Calendly thing happened last night, and I was telling you that I said I couldn't get on at the time you said I could, and I'm sitting there going, huh, it's been a while. I should check I use Acuity, so I'll have to check and make sure that the times that I have available for people are the correct. So I will do that.
Absolutely.
In
No,
fact, I'm going to write it down so I
yeah,
don't forget.
absolutely. I'm looking at your website. Beautiful website. Well done.
Hmm. Isn't
Love
it
it.
nice? That's my
Oh,
VA. She's wonderful.
wow. Amazing. Amazing.
Did you go
Beautiful.
to Joy Stories page?
Let me actually doing it right now. Learn more.
Go
Coming
there.
soon. Wow. A banana slug gets her name. Ah, so
Yes,
beautiful.
isn't that beautiful? Yeah, the illustrations are amazing. Children will love them. I'm telling you, will
Yeah.
love her, I guess I should say. Will love the adventures as well. Here, and let me tell you, it's terrible. I should have this by heart, but right now I'm practicing we have to produce a video and I'm getting there. So where is let's see here. Bear with me. Let me find it.
No worries.
Hmm. So it should be right here. Here it is. So in this first book in the series, I introduce you to our main character who through her example and guidance helps others transform their state of being and experience by using their 6 mental faculties: imagination, will, perception, intuition, reason, and memory.
Wow.
So, yep. So that is what this little banana slug, who is very unique. Banana slugs are extremely unique. Teaches through her adventures.
See, that's one thing I love about my podcast. I learn about things I thought I knew, but most importantly about things I had no idea even existed, like a banana slush. I had no idea it even existed. So thank
I
you.
know. I've had people saying, "Is that real? Is there really a banana slug?" I'm like, "Yes, there is." Yes, there is.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah, it
beautiful.
is.
Awesome. Now let's move forward. Tell us about, what would you say is a cause that you're deeply passionate about?
Cause I'm deeply passionate about. I'm deeply passionate about creating, gosh, I remember at one point in my life saying, "Ooh, I got it." You remember when I saw sad and I was like, "Gosh, that's leaving sad ripples." And I'm feeling
Mhm.
happy and I don't want the sad ripples. And I remember at one point in my life, still as a child somewhere there, I can't remember what the age, going, "Oh, that, it's like I was experiencing energy, but I didn't know what energy was yet." Right. So to me, I was like, okay, once I got it, I said, "Oh, well then this joy that I feel, I know that's a good ripple that you want out there." I do know that bad ripples really, it's almost like bad reviews, right? Bad reviews, everybody, it's out there, right? But
Oh
when
yeah.
you do good reviews, it seems like they're kind of quiet and
Nobody
you
talks
don't get
about
as
it.
many or
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Nobody talks about it. So that's the same thing with spreading love and spreading joy, right? Spreading love and spreading joy creates more, right? In the people that you've done that with, this little creature, when she does it, she passes that along. That is what I'm passionate about, which is why the stories came about. And they came about when, okay, so I'll do a little bit of work here. So the energy work, right? Those of you who are watching who know chakras, right? The chakras, are you familiar,
Oh
Heyman?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
right? Of the chakras, right? Are well, 7 main chakras. Anyway. So the third chakra, as soon as I was handed this on a birthday. So a friend of mine, we were out and about and on like a little mini vacation, and in the very, very, very southwest corner of Oregon. And that's where this, it's the Pacific Northwest is where the banana slugs live, all the way up to Alaska, and they go into California a bit. And I got handed this banana slug. Now, joy energy center is this color. Energy center is your expression, and that's the solar plexus, right? So we express ourselves through the solar plexus, through that golden. If your solar plexus is bright golden, like it should be, you are in your joy, and that's what you're sharing. Okay, and that's what you're expressing. All right, so that is a cause. That is a cause. I want to make sure that energy center is really, I'm teaching people, helping people understand how to maintain that, to share, right? So we have much more joy and happiness in the world. I know it sounds idealistic and all, but I believe it's very, very,
Hey,
it's just important.
absolutely. You know, not any single individual can change the world by themselves, but we can
Mhm.
create our own little ripple effect around us. If, for example, you through your joy stories, you can inspire just one child, and that goes on to inspire
Absolutely.
another and another, another. Together, we can create a ripple effect that's going to change, that's going to become global, and it's going to change the frequency, vibration, and energy and direction of this planet toward a more positive one. And God knows that this is what we badly need right now in this planet right now. So you don't worry, you don't minimize your work. You're doing amazing. You just need, listen, as long as you inspire just one person, bring smile to one child, and that child goes on to inspire another, shares it with his sister, brother, cousin, neighbor, whatever. That's all it takes.
May I share something, Payman?
By all means,
Okay.
please.
So the readings I've done were in my mastermind group and in one other group. And these were adults. And guess what? The adults were actuated, is what I'll call it. And they felt shiny and sparkly, just like the creature, the main character did. And so I will tell you something. They have been my cheerleaders, as well as nudged me forward, as you are now. And I'll tell you something, that the adults who are also either watching their children read these or are reading it for them, they'll be affected. Okay. They will be affected. So, you know, maybe subconsciously or not, but they will be affected.
You
And
know,
we will be.
an
Mhm.
idea just flashed to mind. I remember
Tell me.
hearing on a podcast a few months ago,
Mhm.
talking about the lady that built a massive business through a podcast. And what she did, she had a series of children's book. All she did was just reading stories on the podcast, and the parents would show that to her kids, and she blew
Yep.
up. She blew up.
Wow.
You can do that.
I
You know
can
what?
do that.
Yes, and you will do that.
Oh my gosh. I will do that. Let's do
You read your
this.
stories on the podcast, and then at the end of each episode, you direct them to your website. They can buy not only your books, but hey, make them a copy of those toys, the banana sludge or other things,
Mhm.
toys for kids, whatever. The sky is the limit, seriously, and other products, T-shirts,
Right?
yeah.
That's it.
As Mary would say, I'm so excited, and I just
I'm
can't
so
hide it.
excited.
Exactly, exactly.
Agreed.
Control.
Woo.
Seriously, this is beautiful. Listen, one more reason for
Yeah.
you that you can really, you know, tremendously leverage your podcast to share your gifts that way.
All right, let's do this, Payman.
Absolutely.
Let's make this happen.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
We're
Starting
doing
next
it.
Monday.
It's done. How about it is done?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm amazing. Let's move forward.
Okay.
Let's start wrapping this up, even though me and you
Okay.
love talking. To finish off, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions on advices. Ready?
I'm ready.
What's the best piece of advice you received so far?
Everything you've given me.
Oh, thank you.
Best piece. Seriously, it's like, oh my
Wow.
gosh. Never give up.
Love that. What's the worst piece of advice you've received so far?
Worst piece of advice? Worst piece of advice would have to be, that's too expensive. You know, you don't, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Oh, this is not for
Yeah.
girls. You know that?
There's that too. There's that. No, you can't race. That girls don't race. Girls don't work on cars. There's that too.
Exactly.
I showed them, Payman.
Oh, I'm telling you, you kicked some serious butts, you know? Absolutely.
I did. It was fun too.
All right. You know, what is the saying? Like, pedal to the metal, you know? All in.
Pedal to the metal.
Absolutely.
Woo.
All right. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine and you would go and you could sit face to face with 18-year-old Suzanne. What's the number one piece of advice you would give to her, knowing all that you know now?
Wow. Take a look in the mirror.
Mm,
Take a look at how beautiful you are. Share your beautiful self.
mm.
Right. Do what makes you happy. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know you don't have your podcast yet, but you will get it. What was the number one reason that was holding you back so far from not launching your podcast?
Goodness, I never even thought about me doing a podcast. Being on a podcast, I thought about, it's interesting. I had someone once tell me I would be really great in radio, and I think it's very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, "Ooh, this is interesting. Yeah, I think I could do that." Well, I know I could do it. I love people. I love engaging with people and finding out about them and their stories, and oh my gosh, they inspire so much, always.
Wow.
So yeah.
I
Yeah, so
believe it.
when you brought it up, I was like, I'm game, I'm in it. Yeah, and as I said, the universe connected. It's during a time when I can, so I will have the time
Exactly.
to
Now, and let's
do
project
that,
ourselves a
to
few
attend.
weeks. Let's project
Mhm.
absolutely. Let's project ourselves a few weeks ahead of time. Your podcast is very successful, and today, that specific day, you're interviewing the most special person in the world, which is drum rolls yourself. What's the first question that you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. First question that comes to mind.
Ooh, what's up? I'm interviewing myself?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Um,
Don't
oh,
think too
wow,
much.
that's
First thing that comes to
wild.
mind.
What do you like? What do you like to do? What is your passion? What do you like to do? I guess that would be my first question.
And what's your answer?
Oh gosh. The first one that would come up is I love to race. I love to drive. I love driving cars. So second one would be because that's not always possible. I love writing children's books, children's stories, children's adventures.
You know what answer came to mind when I asked that question?
What?
Go back and listen to the last 3 episodes, you know?
I know, right? And I looked at what I got part one, and let me tell you something. Is when you first started to ask me that last question, and it totally threw me when you said interview myself. I'm like, what? So that really threw me. But on the first, before we started the first podcast, you said, you know what? I got an idea. You've got to do a podcast about women and teaching them how to work in cars, or either work on cars or that. And it's interesting. I thought on that, and it was something that I've thought about a number of times in my life, especially when I was in the racing, in racing in California. And I came up with Ask Sue, because I wouldn't want to go on, and I didn't want to go on and say I know all about it and talk about that. I wanted to have it almost like do you remember Dear Abby? You might not have known Dear Abby. There was a lady who was a columnist, very well known, especially in Chicago. And so people would write in Dear Abby and ask her all kinds of questions, right? So for me, it'd be Ask Sue, automotive. I don't know, I'd have to come up with the automotive theme, but it'd be Ask Sue. What do you ladies want to know? Or gentlemen, what do you want to know? What do you want to know about racing? What do you want to know about, cars, fixing cars, whatever. So that's one podcast. The other one, or I do everything from that base.
Your
I do everything from
crowdfunding,
that base. Who knows?
your energy
Everything,
healing. Do a
right?
podcast
I got
about you. A podcast about podcast.
each one. There you go.
About living your life and relocating to another country, for example. Wink,
in,
wink.
in KL.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. There we go. That's
Exactly.
cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Now,
Yeah.
the last question I want to ask you, and that's my favorite question to ask all my guests, and that is, what is the smallest thing? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing that you've done that is at the greatest, deepest, most profound, transformational transformation in your life. For example, for me, it's been starting my podcast. What about you, Suzanne?
The biggest
The one thing that
transforming
completely
my
changed
life.
the course of your life. Yes.
Besides meeting you.
Oh, wow. I'm blessed. Thank you.
Yeah. Besides meeting you, it was the book Shine Your Soul Light, and sharing that story. In that story that I shared the trauma, and it never crossed my mind that would, what's the word, work on my emotions like it did. There were a little, and so but it needed to be right. It's interesting because I wrote the story that was asked of me, the pivotal moment, kind of like what you just asked me, that transformed my life. Okay. From that moment that I said yes to racing, I moved 2,000 miles away from the trauma, that where the trauma first happened, right? I was already into my healing process, but it was still in the area where it all happened.
Mhm.
And then I got this amazing, incredible opportunity, said yes, flew to or moved to 2,000 miles away to California to race. It was a dream, right? So that was a major pivotal moment in transforming, because I needed that. Racing, and the fact that that was like natural for me and a passion that was finally being fueled, it gave me everything I needed to continue the healing, get to the other side of it, to the yes that I said to the book, share the story, let go of all the fears that the story's out there, and I'm moving on. I'm moving on to the next part of my life, which is possibly KL. Moving to KL.
And before that, podcasting to make this happen.
And
Right?
podcasting is going to get me there.
You know, one thing you said is very powerful. I'm learning that, not only learning it, experiencing it myself, realizing it. And that is, once you start saying yes to good
Yes.
things, it opens up the doors. It allows the universe to bless you, to inspire you. You know, I love following the work of Abraham Hicks, and
Abraham Hicks.
one thing they always say is the power of the 17 seconds. Picture something in your mind for 17 seconds, focus on that one thought, and before you know it, your mind is going to bring you other things that's going to support, that's going to expand that and give you other creative ways, to,
Yes.
I don't know what that came to mind, but
That's
anyway,
okay.
yeah. So
Other creative ways. Yep.
exactly. It's going to really expand your mind and open your eyes to things you didn't even knew or considered existed.
Never thought about.
Once I started saying yes to starting my podcast, my life changed. Once I said yes to Mary 2 years ago for writing my story, in the first chapter where I shared how my family left Afghanistan, that opened the road for the second book, and then my first book for my podcast, and the second book is coming now. Everything just, magic happened. Yes, absolutely. Saying yes to good things is allowing you to step up, to level up, to really step into your destiny, literally. It might sound cheesy, but it is true.
No, it is so true. That's what I said. And some of these are big leaps. I say that leap. I remember my friend telling me, "Oh my God, you're so courageous." Now I didn't think that what I did was courageous at all, but looking back, yeah, I was. But you know what? If I hadn't said yes, I wouldn't have had the experiences that I have. It's just incredible. You have to say yes.
I know the saying that says your dream life is outside of your comfort zone.
You're saying yes to you. You're saying yes to yourself.
To your
when
destiny.
You do that.
You say, I am ready.
Your destiny.
I am ready.
I'm ready.
That's you.
I'm ready.
Notifying the universe, hey, I'm ready. Bring it on. Bless me.
I'm ready. I'm willing. I'm here. Let's do this.
Amen. We're doing it.
Amen.
It's done.
It's done. It is done.
Wow. Phenomenal. So if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so, Susanne?
Come to my website, SusanneHovis.com. Get to my contact page. Reach out. Let's do a one-on-one, or a session, whatever you want to do. Let's do it.
Once your Kickstarter is live, share your Kickstarter link. We can do another episode back at that time. And of course, if you want to work with her one-on-one while she's still there in Portland and soon in KL,
There you go. My email, by the way, there's an email on my website as well. It's reachme@SusanneHovis.com. So there's that as well.
Listen, Susanne, me and you, we can talk for hours and hours. It's been 2.5 hours of pure joy talking to you.
Pure joy.
With like 2 kids, 2 friends, just geeking out, talking. I feel blessed to be doing what I'm doing. I love it, connecting with incredible people. I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world, your presence, your impact with your gifts. Speaking of gift, you're a gift yourself. So stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, and have a fantabulous, stupendous evening. And talk to you very soon, my dear friend. Take care.
You bet. Thank you. Ditto, my friend.
Pleasure. Cheers. Bye.